And then bottom half, we got 4-color Elementals against 5-color Creativity. This is one that I feel could go either way. Both decks incredible at grinding, but I think
who does not care about Omnath? Archon.
Yeah,
Archon does not care about Omnath.
I do think Archon has the edge.
All right, I'm voting Creativity. I'm voting Team of Rhinos. You can't really go wrong with either, though. But which match are we going to be watching? Do we know yet? Can we choose? I guess we could just choose.
Yeah, let's go to Cowden. You want the Rhinos mirror?
No.
Yeah, let's go to Cowden and Fumich. 4-color Elementals against 5-color Creativity.
I've been Rhino guy today. We haven't seen a ton of Rhinos.
Our Team of Rhinos list does have 2 Gemstone Caverns.
Yeah, luckiest ever. All right, so.
And they're on the draw.
Fumich on your left playing 5-color Creativity. Cowden on your right. We just watched Cowden play Elementals and defeat Burn. Let's see if they can take down Creativity. Very different deck. Elemental's going to be on the play. Turn 1, Abundant Growth, pass the turn.
Now, our players are playing for quite a bit of money, but this is the big round when it comes to invites, because it's first and second going to the Apex Invitational in February, as well as the Regional Championship in Anaheim next year. So a lot on the line in this match in particular for all of our players.
Yeah, all players currently sitting at these tables locked up $175 in cash. Second place, $350 cash, and first, $550 cash. But of course, those invites to the RC and the Invitational are much more important.
Nick Cowden here, once again, showing off Cavern of Souls not being able to cast his spells.
I hope he has a Wrenn and 6 in hand. He does.
Yes.
We call that street justice.
Went for the turn 1 Abundant Growth on the Forest, and now...
Probably just digging for a fetch land, hoping to spike.
I mean, has second Cavern here and 2 Risen Reefs, so going to be able to see a bunch of cards here.
All right.
Oh, no, but
turn
ice.
2. Yeah, Fumich going to lock him down with ice.
The old time
Finds
walk.
the fetch land, but again, that Cavern of Souls just looking embarrassing. Are there that many counterspells in the format that you just need to play multiple Cavern of Souls?
I think it's also about being able to consistently cast your red, white, blue-green cards.
But Cavern of Souls seems like it ruins a lot of that. You could just fetch a Triumph instead. Rogren Triumph fetched. Cowden going to go to turn number 4. Let's see what Fumich has for him.
There's
Is that a good one?
There's an Emrakul. Maybe in about 6 turns.
Yeah. Risen Reef is the play. Cavern of Souls ×2. Trigger on the stack. Reveals fetch land tapped.
Okay. But there is a Lightning Bolt here, so that's going to protect from a quick Creativity or Transmog on this turn. But not much to play around Creativity for multiple targets if Fumich is able to set that up.
Well, 3 mana. I think this is a shock here. I think this might be a Prismari command, and I think we might see a pretty bad situation for Cowden next turn. Here it is. Let's see what the choices are. My guess, deal 2, make a treasure.
Yeah, he's reaching for the box. That means treasure.
What's in the box? Sorry. I'm a millennial. We can't not. Whenever someone says the word box, you can't not reference 7.
Looks like it was treasure and loot, so not choosing to ignore the Risen Reef says.
That's fair. That means they're just so confident that they're about to resolve whatever they're doing that it just doesn't matter. Wow, you cannot possibly be alive. If you're Cowden, you cannot possibly win this game.
Discards Persist and Archon of Cruelty. I guess being quite scared of Endurance.
Fair enough. Good call. Doesn't want to have the dead card in hand. Doesn't want to run into Endurance.
We, of course, know that there is no Endurance on Cowden's side, so that would have been a play that would have put Fumich very far ahead, but instead going for the Creativity on the treasure, so the Bolt not relevant. Prismatic Ending, that's a sorcery, not relevant.
Yeah.
So yeah, had an Archon rolled up through any piece of interaction.
All right, we're going to flip cards off the top here until we hit an Archon. That's going to Edict that Risen Reef, and that's a good reason not to deal 2, right? So you actually get extra value out of the sack effect. So.
Yeah, we're gonna get it anyway. And the Creativity deck.
Munch Crunch. Here it is. Archon swallows that Risen Reef whole. Gonna draw a card and force Cowden to discard and drain 3. Seems like cards have a lot of text these days.
Imagine this Night of Autumn is going away. Don't think We wanted that in the previous game one.
I think Emrakul's going away.
Emrakul's like your way to get back into this.
Is it though? Can you cast it for 5 more turns? Because that's how many turns it's going to be before you.
You gotta like find a Teferi, and then a few turns later, Emrakul can do things.
Maybe you're right.
Like if you win this game, it's gonna be a game that goes long, right?
Sure.
I think a little bit of short-sighted thinking there from Nick Cowden. What is this knight doing?
That was a Fable later. What's Ren do? I don't know. What's anything do? You're facing off against Archon, man. It's basically cruel ultimatum every turn. How are you supposed to possibly win without just removing it?
The
answer is you don't. Like, I wouldn't even play anything here. Maybe Ren to get back a land. I don't know.
Yeah, you're not in a good spot. Also, these caverns, once again, looking pretty awkward. We got a lot of cards in hand that aren't elementals.
That's true. Got a lot of cards in deck that aren't elementals.
A lot of our elementals, we don't need mana to play.
Yeah, what's the use of Cavernous Souls on Elemental if you just pitch all your elementals into play? All right. Fetch here for basic lanes. Can we Prismatic Ending for 8? That's the question. By Yorion.
How many caverns are in your deck, Nick Cowden?
I think just 2. He just draws 2 every game.
There's 3.
Makes more sense. Archon here, gonna chug along in, dealing 9, drawing a card, forcing a discard. Ultimatum you. What's slightly less harsh than cruel? We can come up with a better word for it. Like medium roasted ultimatum.
It's mean ultimatum.
Yeah, mean ultimatum. Persist.
Do
you have the endurance? I don't think you do. Feels like that one's pretty good. The first one probably good enough. The second one,
the slow roll.
Yeah,
power scoop. You're like, yeah, that's good enough.
Shout out to all of our players in the top 8 so far, just playing very fast and clean. This has been fun to watch and fun to cast. The players all seem to know their decks very well. You know, not a whole lot of micro decisions being fretted over. And now we're moving on to sideboard here.
Well, looking at Cowden's sideboard, we've seen this before. He's got a ton of counter magic. 3 Dovin's Veto, 2 Aether Gust, 2 Flusterstorm. The rest of it, not so great, with a second Night of Autumn, a Tail's End, 2 Hallowed Moonlight, a Force of Vigor, Yorion Companion, an Obsidian Charmaw, and a Chalice of the Void. So I think just bringing in a pile of counter spells to... Hallowed Moonlight is also great.
Yeah, it stops all of the tricky stuff with it.
Yeah, Hallowed Moonlight is definitely great in this matchup, so we'll see that come in. I wonder if he even has room for all the counter spells and the Hallowed Moonlight, so it'll be interesting to see which ones come in.
We got a ton of random junk to get out. I really hate the prismatic endings. I really hate trying to like bolt a dwarf or whatever. Like, that's just not how you win this matchup. You got to put some pressure on them, and you got to play veto, and you got to play Flusterstorm and stuff. Like,
yeah, I agree. So we got 4 prismatic endings, 2 bolts, and a Night of Autumn to take out. That's 7 cards.
I don't even think Night of Autumn's that bad. Just because it blows up Fable. Like, Fable's a huge part of these decks now.
Yeah, but you're not getting great value.
I know. You know what? You know where you are getting great value at? Walmart, great value brand.
Maybe Menards.
Sorry, I said no more jokes. No, it's called Great Value brand. Yeah, that's like their whatever. I'm just trolling.
Well, looking at Jacob Fumich's sideboard, we got an Emrakul the Aeon Storm, 2 Wear Terror, an Unmoored Ego, 2 Aether Gust, 2 Veil of Summer, 2 Turn the Earth, 2 Flusterstorm, 2 Teferi Time Raveler, and a Boseiju Who Endures. Gotta love the Flusterstorms, Veils, and Teferis to fight these inevitable counter wars. And I think I like Aether Gust as well. Good interaction, even through Cavern against Omnath and against Risen Reef. Just to play that fair game, probably better than some of your 1-for-1 removal spells like Lightning Bolt.
Yet another strike against Cavernous Souls. You'll love to see it.
Yeah, they've not looked best, but granted, in that third game against Burn, not taking any damage from his mana base was key for Cowden winning.
Yeah, untapped lands too, also clutch. Turn 3 was able to cast Endurance without shocking.
So a lot of reactive cards coming in for both players post sideboard. The game should really slow down, and especially helpful on Cowden's side, because he's the one that has a bunch of removal in that doesn't really play very well against Indomitable Creativity and Persist into Archon of Cruelty.
All right. Well, both players here in quarterfinals shuffling up, or sorry, semifinals shuffling up for game number 2. Calvin going to be on the play with his elemental deck. Let's see if he has a more interactive hand or just a pile of mush.
He was back against the wall last round, came back against Joey Luntz on Burn. See if he can do it again and lock up his spot in both our invitational, Season 2 invitational coming up in February and the Season 2 Regional Championship in Anaheim,
These
California.
matches are always sick. When you're playing for the slot, you know, you've been there a bunch. You usually win yours. I usually lose mine.
I lost one last weekend, so.
Well, how many times did you qualify for the first RC, though? Like 3 times or something?
Twice.
Yeah, just twice. You know, it would be cool if you could qualify for something and bank it.
Yeah.
Be sweet. Bad. Never let us.
One of the winners of the Team Open qualified, so I let Harlan down to not let him qualify when I was already queued.
Oh. Poor baby. I think Harlan will be all right, though. Man's crushing his business right now. All right. Opening hand for Cowden. Let's take a peek. Still ephemerate in the deck? Don't love it, honestly. Risen Reef, some stuff. Ephemerate Solitude.
You got other stuff that needed to come out.
That's fair.
Risen Reef Ephemerate can dig through your deck pretty nicely.
Turn 1 Dwarf Mine, sometimes the sign of a little bit of weakness, but occasionally just means that you just have a couple of lands in hand that you don't want to play.
I saw another Dwarven Mine get drawn there for a few minutes, so we must have probably keeping a 3-lander here.
Well, maybe it just has Ren and 6 and had Dwarven Mine Foothills, right? And just drew another Dwarven Mine.
Yeah, also possible. Let's see what we're getting.
Main phase fetch is almost. Ooh.
Oh, I think this is going to be another upkeep ice. Yep. On that Rogard Triome. Time Walk, your Risen Reef.
Somebody call my man Vanilla.
You just got iced.
You just got iced. Why didn't that become his catchphrase? You just got iced. I don't know. All right. Turn 3, Fumage untaps after the ice. No pressure from the Elementals deck. Maybe just a bunch of reactive stuff. And actually doesn't look too threatening anyway. A couple Ephemerates, Solitude, Risen Reef. Dovin's Veto is a big one, but again, Cavernous Souls just ruining my life.
Todd is personally offended by this Cavernous Souls.
I always like to put myself in the head and in the place of the players, and I like to try to feel what they feel. And I feel like Nick Cowden has felt like I'm cutting a Cavernous Souls for my deck after this one, you know?
Get Beseiju from Fumage. That is also an explanation for the Dwarven Mine play on turn 1, but it's not going to help the Dwarven Mine in his hand.
True. Maybe just trying to gamble a little bit, trying to hit the
3 Ephemerates for Nick Cowden?
Yeah, I think so.
That's a lot of Ephemerates. At least we do have the Risen Reef, but yeah,
so let's go.
It's
very scared.
It's an awkward turn to try to tap out, right?
Yeah.
But oh no, getting aggressive so that he can tap out next turn. Judges stopped our players, I think.
Oh,
looks like
Yorian didn't get revealed, I think, again. Maybe he shuffled it into his deck on accident or something. I'm not really sure what happened.
Well, you're allowed to side it in.
Oh, top card had a busted sleeve and he just replaced. Yeah. Sorry, Judge just caught a busted sleeve. It's okay. All right, back to Fumage's way. That Prismari command got countered. We'll see if there's any punishment, but I think Dwarven Mine might be the last land. We'll see if there's a Red and 6 or something here. That'd be nice. There it is.
Yeah.
My man. And Tree combo. Worth Ruppel. Me Red and 6. Till 7 gets in there.
7 already 8-9, so they're busy.
Oh my god, that takes on so many more connotations now. All right, Red and 6 gets the land back. Chad, I would be like that one. You're never going to hear a funnier joke from Ross other than that. Holy crap.
Okay, Prismatic Ending takes down the Ren, but now the shields are down.
Yeah, and the damage is done. Ren already got a land. Solitude in hand for Cowden, though, so maybe not. Like, the game's not over, obviously, and things can go very good or bad over the next few turns for both players, depending on sequencing.
It would certainly be nicer if we could ephemerate that Solitude, but Cavernous Souls can't cast Ephemerate.
Oh, wow. Darn. Well, we just let it come down, right? And then we do it next. Oh, yeah, I guess.
Oh, well, we played the Dwarven Mine. I think Fumage is going for it here. Yeah, creativity for one. Thinking I've got probably has Veil up with this Boseiju, but Evoke Solitude is going to stop this dead in its tracks. Damage gain of 1 going up to 17, and that is win for Nick Cowden. Oh yeah, second Cavern. Gotta have 2.
Yeah.
But that does let us play this Risen Reef with Ephemerate up. So that is helpful. As long as there's not an immediate reload here from Fumich, I'm actually feeling pretty good from Cowden's seat.
Would that be considered a boondoggle?
Well, there is a fetch draw, so we might see the immediate reload.
Ooh. All right. Let's see what we got. Token from the Dwarven Mine.
Yeah, still leaving up green.
What is Veil good against? Curious.
There's a bunch of counters on the sideboard.
Vetoes and Flusters.
Flusterstorms and Dovin's Vetoes, yeah.
1 mana. We're going to Ephemerate in response. This is 100% just a dig for...
Yeah. Cycle my Ephemerate.
Looking for Solitude. Does he find it? No.
Finds a Gust.
Right.
And, yeah, doesn't have the mana to cast the Gust. Does have a Teferi in hand, though, so can potentially bounce this Archon and stop the immediate bleeding, but is going to be down significant resources.
Yeah. The quote-unquote combo of creativity is it's not an immediate win like it can be with, bigger creatures or more scary stuff, but what it does do is it allows your grindy plan, your interactive plan, just so much leverage every single turn.
Interesting choice as to what to discard. I think I'd be keeping that Gust, because you can Teferi, find a blue source, and have Gust up.
Yeah, Fury seems like pretty bad here, to be honest.
Instead, it decides to keep Fury and Ephemerate. That Ephemerate, I think, should stay in exile, because you have no target for it.
Yeah, maybe they'll catch it. It's unlikely to matter.
Yeah.
There's no Eternal Witnesses, I don't think.
Could get shuffled in from an Endurance.
That's true.
Now, yeah, we're pretty priced into just casting this Teferi and hoping it resolves.
Oh, they got it. Yeah, it should just be exiled. No big deal. Teferi comes down. We have Veil Summer in response. This is going to cycle to draw a card.
Oh, yeah, the Veil is actually awesome here, because now you can't target...
You can't even bounce it.
Yeah.
You get to draw a card still.
Yeah, we cast a blue spell. Veil draws a card. Yeah, so... Yeah, might as well draw a card with the Teferi while it's still on the battlefield.
Yeah.
No target. And, well, we could hope to draw a red card so we can evoke Fury and Ephemerate it, but, of course, we have Cavern of Souls.
We have Solitude here. We drew a white card. Or we drew Solitude and we have a white card, so this seems reasonable.
Yeah, Teferi stops any counterplay here. So good draw step from Cowden, but he's now down to 2 cards in hand.
Yeah. I dealt with 2 Archons already.
Got Eladamri's Call and Fury left over. Call could find an Omnath, start hoping to find more lands and do stuff with that, but 5 cards over on Fumich's side, and he's ahead 2 lands, so a huge resource advantage from all these exchanges with the Archons and the creativities.
We're in decent pickup here. That's going to pick off the Teferi immediately.
It's like has another Wren in hand. I think I see a Persist. But all the Archon got exiled, so there's a Gust. Would be nice if we could cast Gust and Eladamri's Call on the same turn, but we have 2 Caverns.
How many Caverns in play? Again? Again? All right. Well,
I don't. Let me be clear. I don't think Cavern is bad in this deck.
What about 3 Cavern now? 3 Cavern feels a little bad.
It has just looked bad in these games.
Well, you draw 2 a game. When you play 3, it's not super unlikely. What's the old adage when you're building a deck? You play 4 something, you want to draw as many as possible. You play 3 something, you want to draw 1 a game. You play 2 something, you want to draw 1 a game.
A long adage.
Oh, shut up. Jerk. Maybe I don't know what adage means, okay?
No play here from Fumich here, despite having 8 lands, including both black sources, so can't possibly be an Archon in hand. I think there's a Persist. Yeah, there's definitely a Persist. Might be 2, and a second Wren. So Fumich's hand big, but bad.
Is it also Leroy Brown?
That's bad, Leroy Brown.
You're right. It's not Big Bad Leroy Brown. It's Big Bad Wolf.
That's one of my karaoke standards.
Good
I
one.
know that song well.
My stepdad used to sing that in the car all the time. It was great.
Eldar Skull does find Omnath, but doesn't have stuff to go with it.
Yeah, but it's a start. Whatever, just cast it.
Yeah, I mean, your opponent doesn't really have anything, so might as well get the Omnath down. Hope you get one more turn. Oh, yeah, third cavern?
Oh, yeah.
This is unbelievable.
Ooh, third cavern.
Can't cast any of our spells.
Imagine being able to cast Teferi and then holding up Ether Gust. Couldn't be me with 3 Cavernous Souls every game.
So if we draw fetch land next turn, we're going to have access to 10 mana. Could potentially play Fury using all the caverns, then also play Teferi and have Gust up. So if Cowden gets a turn and can find a fetch land, things could go very well.
All right, what is the reason for not getting dwarves here? Just you don't want to give targets for Fury, or you want to save them for as long as you can, or what?
I don't know. Looks like we've played 3 Dwarven Mines at this point, so we got 1 left.
Okay.
We've made 2 dwarves, and one of them was turn 1, didn't make a dwarf. Ooh, not a fetch land here for Cowden, just a basic plane, so no additional mana. That will allow him to cast a fairy and hold up Gust, though.
Out time. Turn 9. Exactly when that needs to happen. Start with Teferi. That's gonna just probably minus to draw a card, honestly.
Yeah, and the Omnath can attack this Wren down. I guess we could see a chump block from a dwarf token.
What if you attack and then bounce Omnath? That seems kind of sick. Fetching a dwarf. Probably gonna chump block the Omnath to keep Wren alive. Seems reasonable.
Yeah. Makes creativity a weak draw, but we have enough mana to hardcast Archons that we draw, so we're not super reliant on creativity at this stage of the game. We are Jacob. Notably, that is the 4th Dwarven Mine.
I'm also fine with just tick up. You have Gust. You're probably fine. All right, Fumich. What you got for me?
Is that so
Fable?
Okay, we found a gooder.
Yeah, it's getting gusted though, so it might be too late. I guess there's a chance it doesn't get gusted. I think this is like primo gust time.
That's a good magic card. And your opponent's hand is pretty weak, given how uneventful the last turn was, but Cowden says, no, I'm holding on to this.
All right. Gonna get that Fable down, get the token. Next turn, gonna get some loots going. So many random cards in hand.
I think it's 2nd Wren, 2 Persist, a Stomping Ground, and maybe a fetch or 2.
All right, we're gonna bounce the token. Maybe that's why I thought it was fine. Just, the token's basically irrelevant, so it's just 3 mana, slow loot 2.
Okay.
Omnath gonna chug in there, deal some damage to Wren, probably. Maybe Fury finishes it off. Maybe just sits and holds up Gus. Who knows?
Gain some more life with this Hallow Fountain.
Also, Endurance to pick up.
Yeah.
The Persist plan no longer viable. Ooh, I think we're gonna have some bad news bears right now.
Yeah, I think Fumich has a mental checklist that I've made 3 dwarves.
Yeah.
But yeah, time's a triumph.
Both players still at a heap of life thanks to Solitudes and Omnath and such. This game's been going on a while. A lot of attacks have been happening the last few turns, but both players still a very healthy life.
Interesting here from Cowden to play a tap lane and hold up Endurance. Could have played that untapped and cast Fury, finish off the Wren, and have more pressure here, and still hold up the Aether Gust.
All right, discarding 2 lands and draw 2 fresh ones. Let's see if they're any good. No, the draw for turn was Arid Mesa. Wren ticks up, gets back a semi-useless land. Handful of cards, most of them are land.
So many cards in hand.
All right,
Okay.
Leyline Binding.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Nothing Cowden can do about that one.
Got to main phase it too because of the Teferi. No tricky stuff.
We've at least dealt with the main threat. Still have our Wren down. Getting a Reflection next turn, and have a lot of good draws left. Oh, declines to cast the Endurance, so just kind of saving all of his stuff here, isn't it, Cowden? Draws a Risen Reef, so Might want to play the Risen Reef first so that these other elementals start gaining some value.
Yep, seems to be the play.
Doesn't really seem to be concerned with this Ren 6.
No, I mean, why should you? It's already done its damage. That 2's not threatening lethal for a long time. Minusing on the Risen Reef is somewhat problematic.
Oh, yeah. Abundant Growth, that Cavern of Souls.
Is this a forgot to get Yorian game again, or did we get Yorian way earlier and it got pitched?
I don't think
I think it got Solitude pitched like way a while ago.
No, it was Ephemerate that got pitched to Solitude. It's been a million Ephemerates.
Solitude twice this game.
Maybe Yorian got pitched to the other.
I feel like this is like primo time to get bought, shock, buy, hold up 2 for Gus, you know? All right, Fable flips. Ren takes out the Risen Reef.
You know, doesn't think the Ren had a lot of value, but dealing with the Risen Reef is a real thing, stopping the value from your elementals. So,
all right, backup Ren gonna replace. This is gonna reset its loyalty up to 3, so when it ticks up, it goes to 4. Yeah. It's gonna be pushing towards ultimate.
Really wanted his 12th land, did Jacob Fumich.
You know, a card would be sweet in this deck.
What?
Seismic Assault.
It's a Flusterstorm. I don't think that's going to do a whole lot.
Flame Jab. Raven's Crime.
Fumich probably going to elect to pay for that one if it ever gets cast.
Worm Harvest. Sorry, I just couldn't stop. All right, here comes my man Fury. Going to come down and probably just kill Ren 6. I don't think that Fable is that scary right now, you know? Not a whole lot of creatures running around in the deck.
Oh.
But it looks like he's going to disagree and go ahead and pop it and run down to 2. Fairy ticks up. Next turn, I can tick down on the Leyline Binding and get back Omnath for a turn. Could be good enough to pop off. Concession? Yes, had enough.
Just drew another land, just kind of over it?
Had a lot of turns left. The hand from the opponent also not that good.
Yeah. No, there's no way we had life totals wrong. We were following the game from the beginning. There were basically never attacks.
Yeah. I think that it was just frustration concession. Just probably drew the 5th land or whatever, but that happens.
Your deck is great at top decking, Jacob.
Well, you keep saying that, and I keep seeing it draw land.
Well, one of these days, we'll draw something good. The player's going to shuffle up for a 3rd game. I doubt much changing here in sideboarding. You know, just a lot of counter spells. Looks like our other semifinal still going here. Looks like somebody resolving a cascade spell over there. In our Rhino's mirror, but we got 1 game now. Both these players playing this 1 game to qualify for the Apex Invitational in February, as well as the Regional Championship in Anaheim later in 2023. Also playing for a good chunk and change. The loser of this match is going to take home $175 cash. The winner going to advance to the finals, where first place is $550, second place $350. So a couple $100 on the line, as well as those 2 invites. This is a big game. Gotta feel like the creativity player probably, still advantaged. Would have liked to have seen a couple better draw steps there. Maybe could have gotten back into that second game. Won the first game handily. So probably still feeling pretty good if you're in Fumich's seat. But Howden, in the post-board configuration especially, has a lot more interaction for the combo. Was able to, shut down multiple attempts at it, or at least deal with the Archon after the fact. Still recover.
I'm no stranger to early concessions.
The old tight concession,
as Rhino Overturf would say. That's a tight concession. Fumich going to be on the play. Game number 3. We'll say for most of the marbles. Yeah. This is not for all the marbles. Bunch of money on the line still.
Howden taking a quick mulligan there, so going to start this game on 6 cards.
Elemental's deck does mulligan pretty well. A lot of the cards do replace themselves. Ren 6 kind of undoes mulligans pretty well. Problem is, your pitch elementals get much worse each time you mulligan.
Yeah, and Risen Reef, your way to make up for it, can be a little awkward on the draw, because when you're casting on turn 3, that's the turn your opponent is first threatening to cast a creativity, and you need mana up to interact with it.
All right, we're off to the races. Howden here. On the draw. Door Mine for Fumich, turn 1 play.
Another turn 1 Dwarven Mine. But looks to have a reasonable hand. I see Fable, probably a couple other lands. That's all you really need.
All right, worst land to draw: Cavern of Souls or Dwarven Mine.
Well, at least Dwarven Mines are casting Fumich's spells.
That's fair. Turn 2 fetch, quick fetch 2. This is either going to be an ice or Renin 6. We see Stomping Ground, Renin 6 incoming.
We also see a Renin 6 in Cowden's hand, so both players going to be churning through their land drops this game.
All right, brings back the fetch land. Cowden, probably going to be doing the same thing. Does find a Leyline Binding, and I'm pretty sure Abundant Growth says they're all basic land
No,
types.
it just gives it the ability to tap for a color.
Fine.
It's Nylea's Presence that costs 2 mana and gives you a basic land type.
Yeah. Dude, honestly, though, Nylea's Presence, that whole like Enigmatic Incarnation deck in Pioneer, pretty sweet. Especially with Leyline Binding getting 7-drop.
With the basic land start, Cowden is unable to cast that that Leyline Binding this turn, even if you wanted to. So probably going to opt for a Ren here and have Binding up next turn.
Right. Ooh, just going
Ooh,
to go with
that's
Prismatic
Prismatic.
Ending.
Okay.
That's fine. That's going to stall Fumich on mana a little bit, but one land already came back, so it already did the damage. Here's a quick fetch. This is probably going to be something like Fable the Mirror Breaker.
Yeah, there was a Fable in Fumich's opening hand, so I imagine that is what we'll see here. Immediately taking the opportunity to resolve that card, one of the best in his deck. I also see a Flusterstorm in Fumich's hand, so it could be setting up for a turn 5. Although, if there's no answer for this Goblin Shaman token, making the treasure could make it a turn 4. Attack, get the treasure, play land. Target the Goblin Shaman, have the treasure to make blue for the Fluster.
And we just got to pass the turn. Curious what Cowden's got going on over there. We're about to loot and scoot here with this Fable of the Mirror Breaker.
Yeah, unfortunately, Cowden, because he's a 4-color deck, doesn't have any swamp in his deck. Not able to set up a spot here where he could Ren and hold up Leyline Binding. And, afraid of an Indomitable Creativity. We've seen that force Cowden into awkward spots frequently in this match where he would normally be casting something relevant and proactive on turn 3, but just can't do it if he doesn't want to fall victim to that powerful Archon.
All right, 2 mana Binding. See what he targets here. Let's see if Fumich has a response.
This is definitely hitting the Goblin Shaman.
Okay.
And Flusterstorm in hand for Fumich instead of Spell Pierce can't target that Leyline Binding.
I'm going to fetch here main phase. I believe I saw Teferi Time Raveler hanging out on Fumich's side. Might go for Teferi Time Raveler holding up Stomping Ground for Veil Summer or something.
Yeah, could even bounce the Fable if he wants to get more action out of it.
Love it. Backside of Fable in this deck's not very good.
He wants to hold up blue but can't. And is now giving his opponent a big tell that there's no Veil there.
Yeah. Gotta run into Veil most of the time anyway, but small information leak. Decides to tick up. That's gonna protect it from Fury. Cowden draws Breeding Pool.
And, there's another Leyline Binding in hand, but this one is going to be forced to hit the Teferi. Can't. Because you could hold it and just deal with an Archon of Cruelty, but the Archons are going to enter on the end step if Teferi stays on the battlefield. Yeah, this Teferi, I think, going to be able to clear the way for a Creativity should Fumich have one in hand. It's unclear. I do see a Fire Ice there.
Teferi creates some really bad spots for some opponents, This is one of them.
I think we're going to see Ren tick up and Leyline Binding the Teferi. And
yeah, you have to Leyline Binding the Teferi because if you target Archon with it, the Teferi can just minus and bounce it.
Yeah.
Teferi down. Does Cowden have a land drop?
He drew a breeding pool. Yeah. Does show his opponent that he drew Breeding Pool this turn.
Yeah, but also bluffed like Spell Pierce or whatever. So
yeah. That gets back a land, and shields are down.
Yeah.
That's another Fire Ice drawn from Fumich.
Fable transforms. See if
not moving all that quickly. I don't think it's there.
Well, it has the option now to double ice or double fire. Like we're gonna go with
Well,
double ice.
can't double ice, only has the one blue source.
Good.
Again, tapping a little awkwardly, just going for that Sacred Foundry instead of reaching over for the Dwarven Mine. That will make a potential Leyline Binding draw awkward.
Good point. All right, Cowden draws. And is Ephemerate 3 lands, it looks like, but one is a cycling land.
Yeah, but doesn't have a lot of mana to be leveraging that.
Yeah. Bren's going to make up for that, though, so not a big deal. And there's a lot of bluff equity with this hand. Like, just play your land, say go, EOT cycle, untap. Opponent might not even go for it.
Well, if Fumich has been paying close attention, he knows there are 2 fetch lands in Cowden's hand because he's brought one back each of the last 2 turns with Ren and not played either of them. So there's only 2 unknowns for Fumich here. And Fumich has a Flusterstorm of his own, so a single counter spell isn't really good enough.
All right. Backside of Fable getting in here for 2 damage.
Fumich could have gotten aggressive there and used the Fable to copy the new Goblin Shaman and then recoup the mana with a treasure. Obviously, a removal spell in response is a little awkward. But I don't think the removal spell is there. I think the reflection would have been answered beforehand.
All right, another abundant growth into another abundant growth. 2 Ephemerates in hand. Let's see if Cowden can find a Solitude or a Fury or something.
It seems like a little bit too much air in Cowden's deck for this matchup.
Yeah.
Full 80 cards, even after sideboarding. There's another land, so nice little full house of fetch lands and ephemerates.
Mm.
But Fumich hasn't been able to find a creativity yet, so he's got time. He's drawn extra cards a turn with Ketray Triumph plus Ren and 6.
Goes back Fumich's way.
Fumich is going to see a bunch of cards this turn. It's like another Flusterstorm drawn. And there's an Archon. Okay, 2 Archons. Oof. Could find a Persist. Or a Creativity here. Doesn't look like he did so.
Finds a Dwarven Mine. We're going to make a token.
Well, what we could see happen is the old double reflection trick here. Next turn.
Yeah, can't do it this turn yet, though. So might want to just copy the 2/2 token, attack for 4, get 2 treasures. Seems reasonable.
A little surprised to see both Archons get pitched. You're making treasures with this Goblin Shaman. You got land drops. You're actually pretty close to hardcasting one of them.
Looks like Fumich not going to do a copy, just going to declare attack for 2. This saves some mana potentially if Cowden has some way to kill the token. Allows him to just kind of sit back and force Cowden to make the first move. And as multiple interactive pieces, Veil of Summer, Flusterstorm, Fire Ice. We'll just see if Cowden's able to fight through it with this mana-heavy hand.
There's a Teferi that will potentially take down the Goblin Shaman token.
I don't love icing. Your opponent's very low on life.
Yeah, you still get to draw a card. Drawing cards are great. Risen Reef is pretty good with all these ephemerates in hand. But we are, again, a little light on mana. Kind of looks like there are more lands down there than there actually are because of the 3 abundant growths.
That's true.
There's only, with the Flooded Strand played for turn, that's only 5 mana available for Nick Cowden. So, wants to play Teferi, can't play Risen Reef. Vice versa. Opts for the Teferi.
This is going to be a Veil of Summer, I think. I think this is going to protect from the bounce as well. Draw a card. Oh, just a Spell Pierce. Okay.
Okay. Well, Cowden does have the mana to pay for this.
Yeah, but it taps him out. It might just kill him if he has something else. He also has the fetch to pay, so it puts him to 6.
Fetch to 6, and there's 5 damage coming across.
Yeah, but could be. Oh, sorry.
There's just 5 coming across.
Let's it resolve. Okay. Ren gonna tick down and kill Dwarf.
And I think this might be a no Archon. I think that was a second land played this turn. I believe the first Flooded Strand was played previously.
I think it was played last turn. Interesting. He was trying to tap him out so he could veil
yeah.
him and just get him. Now he just sees the writing on the wall. He's going to go for the
That's a
cycle
third
and the
Archon
veil.
drawn.
All right. Fable flips. We can't do the infinite trick yet. We can attack with just the 2/2 token and then threaten to make, X 2/2s equal to the amount of mana I have during your opponent's end step. Dwarf comes down. Another Fable in hand looks like. Maybe a Flusterstorm.
Yeah, there's a Flusterstorm that's been in there for a while. And you drew an Archon this turn. If Fumich had been aggressively using Reflection to copy the Goblin Shaman and say, I don't think you have the removal.
Yeah, we'd be casting Archon this turn.
But I don't think it's going to matter. What is Cowden drawing to get out of this? He's just staring down a swarm of 2/2s, and there's another Fable being cast right now.
Omnath plus fetch plus interaction.
Yeah, maybe.
Omnath gains a bunch of life. It's a big deal.
Yeah, especially with these Ephemerates. You can gain life. Ephemerate the Omnath. It's a new game object. Fetch again, gain life.
Oh, that'd be tight.
If you want to do it that way.
That'd be fun to see if that ends up happening. All right, now he's got to tank. Do I fetch and go to 2, and then I lose to a Fire Ice?
Well, that's a Boseiju, which can deal with one of the reflections.
My man Chief called. He said, that ain't it. I like making Ross laugh. It's not as easy as you may think. I lied. It's very easy.
So we got one blocker. Boseiju can deal with one of the 2/2s. Ren can deal with
Moonlight. All right. Looks like all we gotta do
one
is
of them. Ren down the dwarf. Block 1, and then you're still going to -1.
Well, we still got Ephemerate. We can play Ephemerate now and try to find something. We can find, Fury or something too.
We don't even really have the mana left for the Boseiju either. Yeah, I think this game is just about donezo.
Yeah. Paul Cowden, man on fire, because he's Dunzo Washington.
And
we got a Flusterstorm on the second Ephemerate, and I think that's going to lock him out. None to do.
Nick Cowden staring sadly at his hand, knowing there's nothing he can do. And that's going to be another win for the player on the draw. Our 7-seed Jacob Fumich, defeating TJ Radazak in the quarters, and now Nick Cowden, the 2 and 3.
Well, what's more crazy is that game was won with no Archons put onto the battlefield. Really just showing exactly how strong Fable the Mirror Breaker is. And honestly, just looks so impressive in these creativity decks. It's one of the best cards in the creativity decks in Pioneer, and it's no shock to me that it is starting to see play in Modern in these decks specifically because of how well it enables those things.
Yeah, really is a powerful enough card to win a Modern game on its own, and we saw it right there.